Destroying witchcraft by fire. You're going to love this. It's very, very practical. You can get rid of witchcraft in your home, in your church, in your community. Use what I teach you on this video. First of all, some background to show you it's biblical. Throughout history, witchcraft has been used by the devil as a main weapon against the church and against Christians. In a previous series of videos, I've been teaching on witchcraft. I've shown you that witchcraft starts in the home, one spouse dominating the other one, usually the man dominating his wife. I was even talking yesterday to a lady who couldn't even take a Bible into her home. That's witchcraft. We would also be deluding ourselves if we thought there was no witchcraft in the church. In Thyatira, the church at Thyatira, in Revelation 2 and verse 20, the angel of the church, even in John's day, John the Apostle, there was this witchcraft spirit in the church. Get rid of it. I have this one thing against you. Now, here's the background. You know this probably, but excuse me while I just fill in for people who don't know it. God had chosen a special people, Israel. He said, don't have any dealings with their gods or intermarry or anything. And through Moses at Mount Sinai, he gave the main 10 commandments and then another 613 more detailed laws concerning other aspects of life. Now, while Israel, the northern kingdom, was under the rule of a prophet called Samuel, the whole nation had peace with its surrounding nations. But the people said, we want our own king. We want to be like other nations. So Saul was appointed by Samuel as the first king of Israel and Judah. The communities were together at that time, United Kingdom. But I'm going to be talking about when they were separated. That's when this nasty king we're talking about in a minute comes on the scene. So there was a king called Saul. He was the first king, and it's significant that he had an assignment to kill all the Amalekites, and Saul did not obey. So Samuel came from where he was to where Saul was. I can hear sheep, bah, and he said, what's going on here? I told you to kill the Amalekites, kill all their sheep. And he said in 1 Samuel 15 and verse 23, rebellion against God is the sin of witchcraft. There's your definition. Rebellion is the sin of witchcraft. Now, as I say, when the nation divided into two, then we had the northern tribes, Israel, and there was a particular couple ruling that northern tribe, those 10 northern tribes, called Ahab and Jezebel. And they encouraged the worship of Baal and Asherah. And it was really under the influence of Jezebel. She was the instigator more than Ahab. And she was encouraging the people to worship Baal and Asherah. So God raised up a prophet, Elijah, to go and cleanse the nation of their evil influence. Now, what was his instructions? Well, there'd been 3 years and a half without rain. That was the punishment that God sent upon the northern tribes. No rain, 3.5 years. And then God said to Elijah, send and gather all Israel at Mount Carmel, the 450 prophets of Baal, the 400 prophets of the goddess Asherah, who eat at Jezebel's table, gather them there at Carmel. Now, I'll paraphrase, that was in 1 Kings 18, verses 19 and 20. I'll paraphrase the rest of the chapter for the sake of time and space. They gathered together. Elijah said, okay, you go first, make an altar and call upon the name of your God. So they did so from noon till later in the day, later in the afternoon. No sign, no fire. Called down fire to burn their sacrifice. Elijah built his altar. He smothered it with water, built a trench, filled the trench with water, and put his sacrifice on. He called once upon the name of God, the true God. And the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice, the wood, the stones, the dust, and even the water was licked up by God's fire. God answered by fire. And then Elijah killed the false prophets, all of them. And a little while after that, the heavens were black with clouds, and there was a great rain, glorious victory. It's taught this in the traditional churches. People know about Mount Carmel. But less known is the wickedness of the king Ahab's son Ahaziah. He became king of Israel, and he fell from a balcony and was gravely injured. And in a vain attempt to get well, he sent messengers to the temple of Baal to inquire if he would ever get well again. And what happened was that on the way they met someone. The messengers were intercepted by a hairy man wearing a leather girdle. 2 Kings 1 and verse 8. He sent the messengers back to the king. The king said, well, what's happening? Why are you coming back? Well, there was this hairy man with a leather, and it was Elijah. So the king was furious, and he sent out a captain of 50 men with his 50 to seize Elijah. And he found, and the captain said, get down from that hilltop. The king wants to see you. And Elijah said to the captain, if I am a man of God, let fire come down on you and your 50. Down came the fire. Now this reached the ears of the king, and he sent a second captain and 50. They were killed. Stubborn king, he said, okay, I'm going to send a third captain to get this man. And he sent a third captain, and the third captain begged Elijah for mercy. He said, let my life be precious in your sight. And the angel of the Lord said to Elijah, don't worry, go with him, go to the king. And so he arose and went with him to the king. And Elijah said to King Ahaziah, thus saith the Lord, since you sent messengers to inquire of Baal, in other words, witchcraft, is it because there's no God in Israel of whom to inquire his word? Therefore, you will not leave the bed on which you lie, but there you will surely die. That's in 2 Kings 1, verse 9 to 16. Fire once again fell at the response of Elijah's prayer. Now that's okay. Nice stories, interesting history. What about us? What about when we pray? Will we get fire from heaven? Well, there's actual physical fire and there is spiritual fire. And we can learn how to send spiritual fire to deal with witchcraft. Interested? Stay with me in this series. I'll see you next time.